Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you the unknown to BookTube tag. The unknown to BookTube tag was created and I was tagged by BookBits. I will leave a link to her original video down below, and the idea of this tag is that we just answer some questions surrounding books that you don't hear a lot about on BookTube. So let's jump straight into the questions and get started. Question number 1 is the last book you read that you did not read because of BookTube. For this one, I have The Two Little Girls in Blue by Mary Higgins Clark. I just recently listened to this on audio. This is kind of a mystery story surrounding two twin girls who are about 3 years old, I believe, and they get kidnapped, and through circumstances, whatever, they pay the ransom, and however, only one twin is returned to them, and the other twin, they say they accidentally killed. However, the remaining twin is believed to still be communicating with the other twin, and they think maybe that the other twin is not dead. So that kind of follows that. I just randomly picked this up off my Overdrive app. I had a couple of books on my Overdrive app that I had on hold, but none of them were available, and I finished my last audiobook, and so I basically just went to my available now section and just had a quick skim through and just picked this one at complete random. Never heard of it before. It was an alright read, not anything super fantastic, but I had definitely never heard of it on BookTube. Question number 2 is a book genre that you would like to see represented more on BookTube. For this one, I'm actually going with chick lit or women's fiction. I think that this is a genre that gets kind of a bad rep. I personally have read a lot of chick lit in my life. Not as much now that I am on BookTube, because I'm generally reading books that I've heard about on BookTube and you've heard a lot of things about, and people just don't talk about chick lit a lot on BookTube. I have a book here as an example, Divorced, Desperate and Delicious by Christy Craig. This is a series that follows 3 women who are all divorced, and they're in a little like friendship group, and there's 3 books in this, and each follows a different one, and just like their romantic escapades, and they're just a lot of fun. Sure, they're not necessarily always the best written, or they're not going to win any like great literary prizes, but they are a lot of fun, and these are the type of books that people read and like consider to be guilty pleasures, which is a term that I really despise. But I just think that if you read a book and it's a lot of fun and you really, really enjoy it, then like what's wrong with that? And if you enjoy reading fun, light, fluffy books that are chick lit, then there's nothing wrong with that. So I definitely think that we could see more about chick lit stories on BookTube. Question number 3 is an author that you wish was mentioned more on BookTube. For this one, I'm actually going with Jodi Picoult. I have read every book by Jodi Picoult with the exception of her most recent release, Small Great Things, which I do plan to get to. And I have enjoyed like all of her books basically. Some are better than others, of course, but for the most part, I do enjoy all of her books. Jodi Picoult writes normally about, she picks a particular issue that's normally prominent in current affairs, and she writes a fictional story based on that issue. So her books are normally very interesting. Like, for example, My Sister's Keeper is about a girl who was genetically made. She's a designer baby, and her parents basically had her so that they could use her because her older sister has cancer, and they want her to be able to donate, and use blood cells and things like that to help cure her sister. And this girl who was the designer baby decides in this that she has had enough and that she doesn't want to do it. Her parents want her to now donate a kidney. She doesn't want to do it, and so she sues her parents for the rights to her own body. Very interesting topic. She's got other books about like euthanasia, like just lots of issues, and they're always generally pretty interesting. And I just really like her writing. You don't see a lot about her on BookTube. My Sister's Keeper is actually my favorite of hers that I've read. You may have seen the movie adaptation, which is okay. They changed the ending, which is freaking ridiculous, because this is one of my favorite book endings. Like, when I read this, I was like, what? Like, what is happening? And then I saw the movie and I was like, what the heck? Why would you change it? But anyway, I definitely don't think we see enough about Jodi Picoult on BookTube. Question at number 4, an unknown book of a well-known author. For this, I'm going with Dreamland by Sarah Dessen. This is actually a book that I have mentioned a few times on my channel. I haven't talked about it recently. Sarah Dessen is a fairly well-known young adult contemporary author. Again, I have read all of her books. I was very into her when I was in high school. Dreamland is one of her earlier novels, and it's actually quite different from her other books. It's a lot darker. It deals with a lot of darker issues and darker themes. This one follows a main character whose older sister has recently kind of, not necessarily that she was the golden child, but her older sister has recently kind of run away, and not run away because she's old enough that she can go out on her own, but she's left and she's separated herself from her parents. She hasn't been in contact with them, and it's a big deal, and the main character is feeling a lot of pressure to kind of live up to her parents' expectations because her sister has taken off, and she gets involved in a relationship that is not a healthy relationship, and that is basically the main aspect of this. I freaking love this book. It is one of my favorite books of all time. I know not everyone enjoys it, but if you haven't read this, or if you've read a lot of other Sarah Dessen and you haven't read this one, please do give it a chance, because I just love this book. It does have a lot of nostalgia for me because I did read it in high school, but this is a book, there are certain passages in this, like towards the end, that I can pick up and literally just read that passage and start bawling my eyes out without even getting invested in it all over again. I guess I am just invested because I've loved it, but yeah, this is a really great book. Question number 5 is a book to movie adaptation which everyone has seen the movie but no one has read the book. Now, for this one, I had kind of a couple of answers. I have here P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. This is a movie which is pretty famous, which I don't think a lot of people have read the book. However, I don't necessarily, this book's alright, but it's not necessarily a great example for this question because I actually think the movie is better than the book. I also have A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks, which again, I think is a movie a lot of people have seen. Nicholas Sparks get kind of a bad rep on BookTube, but again, I preferred the movie to the book. So for this one, I've decided to go with Emma by Jane Austen. Now, Clueless is the movie that I'm particularly talking about. Clueless is, if you didn't know, a retelling of Emma by Jane Austen. I think most people have seen Clueless. It's an absolute teen classic. I freaking adore it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a lot of people's favorite movie. It's amazing. But a lot of people don't realize that it is based on Emma. And if people have read Jane Austen, generally they've read Pride and Prejudice, which there's nothing wrong with that. That is my favorite of Jane Austen's books. But a lot of people haven't read Emma. I know some people, recently have been talking about Emma and they didn't enjoy it. I really did like Emma. It's one of my 4th favorite book of hers out of her main 6, which doesn't sound like it's that great, but I do really enjoy Jane Austen. If I had to rank Jane Austen, it'd probably go Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, Sense and Sensibility, Emma, Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey. So yeah, I think that if you do enjoy some of Jane Austen's other works and you haven't read Emma, give it a go. Maybe read it and then watch Clueless to kind of see those links. It is a really fun book, and it is definitely a really, really great movie, obviously. Question number 6 is a book series you would like to see more on BookTube. For this one, I've decided to go with Tomorrow When the War Began by John Marsden. I have seen a few people talk about this, but not a lot. This is an Australian YA series that follows a group of teenagers who go on a weekend away camping out in the bush. They live in a small kind of rural town, and they go camping one weekend away, and while they're one of the nights that they're away, they see lots of planes going over and stuff, and they think it's a bit odd. They return from the camping trip to discover that Australia has been invaded by another country. It is never said what country it is that is invaded, but you know that Australia has been invaded, and they haven't come in through the major cities. They have come in through the rural areas, their small rural town, and all of their family, etc. The town has been kind of rounded up into the local fairground. They obviously haven't been rounded up because they were away in the bush, and these teenagers basically become it becomes a guerrilla warfare type story of these teenagers doing everything they can to fight back for their country and fight back against these people who have invaded Australia. This is a really great series. There are 6 or 7 books. I have read the entire series. There is also a spin-off trilogy that came after that, which isn't as good, but the main series is really, really a lot of fun. Like, fun is probably not the right word, but it is a really, really great series. I highly recommend it. I adored this series when I was in high school. I actually this is probably one of the examples of this being one of my first buddy reads. Me and a friend of mine in high school tried to kind of make this like book club. It was just the 2 of us, and we would get books out from the school library. I think I would get copies of them from my local library because I used to go to local library a lot, and she would get the copy from the school, and then we would read them at the same time. It was actually really funny. I have very clear memories of this because I would always read. We would set like a page goal, and I would always read way past the page goal because I was really invested, and she would always not read up because she wasn't as big a reader as me. And I'd be like, oh, did you get to page 100? And she'd be like, oh, I only made it to 80. And I'd be like, I read to page, 200. So I was always further ahead than her, but it was a lot of fun like discussing it and like having our thoughts. I have really fond memories of it because of that as well, but definitely an underhyped series. Like I say, it is by an Australian author, so I'm obviously more inclined probably to like it based on that, but I definitely recommend it. Question 7, a beautiful cover that you don't see on BookTube. For this one, I am going with Dark Companion by Marta Acosta. I really, really love this cover. It has a really kind of dark, ethereal quality that I really, really enjoy. I think it's really pretty. This is a young adult story. It's a standalone. It follows a girl who is orphaned. She's been in kind of a, not a foster home, but like a group home, and she gets a scholarship to kind of this boarding, like school academy type thing, and she goes there, and basically everything may not be all as it seems at this school. It sounds like a pretty typical kind of young adult, creepy story, but it actually does have, it's quite different in a lot of ways. It plays on your typical YA supernatural story. I don't want to say how because I think it's a bit of a spoiler, but this book is a lot of fun. I have heard 1 or 2 other people talk about it. It's got kind of mixed reviews. I personally really enjoyed it. I think it's worth checking out. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, this is definitely a beautiful cover that I don't see hardly anyone ever talk about. And the final question number 8, is your favorite book that no one talks about on BookTube. This one was a little bit difficult because all of my favorite books people do talk about on BookTube, so I just basically went to my shelves and had a look through for books that I've really, really loved, that I've given really high ratings, that I haven't heard talked about on BookTube, and I've decided to go with Exposed by Kimberly Marcus. This is a story that is actually told in verse, so it's not very long to start off with, and then again it's told in verse. This has less than 300 pages. It's in verse. It's a very, very quick read. It follows a girl who has a best friend, Kate, and her and Kate have been like the best of friends for like their whole lives. They're the kind of friends where everyone, it's not just her or Kate. They're always kind of linked together in people's minds, and one day something changes in their friendship. I don't want to say what that is because it's kind of a spoiler, but a big event, like a big thing goes down, and it kind of tears their friendship apart. Ooh, this book is really, really good. A lot of people I saw when I rated this on Goodreads and I read other reviews, some people didn't like the ending. I thought that the ending was so true to life and true to how I think that things actually go down when you have something like, you have a problem in a friendship with someone. Like, I have experienced things like this myself, not this type of issue because this has never happened to me, but just issues with friends. Friendships is one of my favorite things to read about. I personally, was never one of those girls who had lots of boyfriends and was like attracted to bad boys or anything like that. I had a really horrible tendency in my teenage years in particular. I attracted really toxic friends. I had a lot of friendships with really toxic people, and so that is something that I really enjoy reading about in fiction because it's something that I personally really relate to, and I love the messages that generally come across in those stories that teenage girls can take out of it, because it's something that I really needed to read as a teenager. And this doesn't have it necessarily that this is a toxic friendship, because it's not, but the issues in the friendship and them fighting and wanting to be like being friends but having this issue, I just think this was really good. This touched a really, it touched me, this story. I thought it was really, really great. I've never heard anyone talk about this. It's really, really good. I highly recommend it, obviously. Definitely check it out. So that was the Unknown to BookTube tag. This was a lot of fun. It's really fun to kind of talk about books, especially books that you've got on your shelves that you don't talk about a lot because you've read them before BookTube. People don't talk about them on BookTube. It was just a lot of fun to touch on those books. So I will tag 3 people. I want to tag Michaela from Love Michaela Eve, I believe it is now. I'll tag Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing, and I'm going to tag Mel from That Girl Bookworm. I would love to see your guys' answers to these questions and hear you guys talk about some books that maybe you haven't talked about a lot on your channel. That would be really awesome. Thank you to BookBits for tagging me because this was a lot of fun. Again, her video is linked down below for you guys to check out. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below if you've got any specific answers to any of these questions for books that you don't hear a lot about on BookTube. That would be a lot of fun. Or if you have read any of these books, I would love to chat with you about them. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye, guys.